Welcome back to this week's midweek mini episode of the Well House Exorcism. This is your ghost of a host of the most, Shanna.
It's Puckwa PJ.
No, it's not.
It's Puckwa PJ.
There it is. And this week we have a special guest that I don't want on. That is quite the purr. Are you going to talk?
Oh, he'll be talking at some point today.
Our podcatter is with us. So if I yell and say terrible things, listeners, I apologize, but I did not want him here. PJ outvoted me. Anyway, it was 2-1. The boys versus me.
Binks and I versus you.
Well, before we begin, I have a joke for you, Puckwa PJ. Why did the ghost hate getting caught in the rain?
Why?
It dampened her spirits.
Spirits.
Binks, if you're going to be here, do not wiggle your collar on the table. This is a professional podcast. This week is episode 12 of our midweek mini episodes, and for it, we are heading up New England way to match our regular episode series we have going on about Lizzie Borden. So we going to Massachusetts.
Woohoo!
And no, we're not talking about witches, even though we have a Binks here
Yes.
who hangs out with witches.
Yes.
Right, Binks? Right. My references for today are cryptozoologycryptids.fandom.com, Milford Daily News, nativelanguages.org, wgbh.org, and as always, Wikipedia.
Naturally.
I love it. For this episode, I would like to begin by reading an excerpt from the Milford Daily News. You ready?
I am ready.
The bizarre tale begins at 10:30 p.m. on April 21st as three 17-year-olds, Bill Bartlett, Mike Mazzocca, and Andy Brody, are driving north on Farm Street. Bartlett, who is behind the wheel of a Volkswagen, spots something creeping along a low wall of loose stones on the left side of the road. At first, he thinks the image is a dog or a cat, until his headlights shine on it and he realizes it's nothing he's ever seen before. The figure slowly turns its head and stares into the light, its two large, round, glassy, lidless eyes shining brightly, quote, like two orange marbles. Its watermelon-shaped head, resting on top of a thick neck, is the size of the rest of its body. Except for its oversized head, the creature is thin, with its long, spindly arms and legs, and large hands and feet. The skin is hairless and peach-colored, and appears to have a rough texture. Like wet sandpaper, Bartlett subsequently states.
Ooh.
Standing no more than 3.5 to 4 feet tall, the figure is shaped like a baby's body with long arms and legs. It had been making its way along the wall, its long fingers curling around the rocks, when the car lights surprised it. This is none other than the Dover Demon. The Dover Demon is an alleged cryptozoological creature that was sighted on 3 separate occasions in the town of Dover, Massachusetts, on April 21st and April 22nd, 1977. This town is about 15 miles southwest of Boston. It has remained a subject of interest for cryptozoologists ever since then.
Yeah, it's an interesting creature.
But only 3 sightings and that's it.
Yeah.
So what does it look like? The witness drawings portray the Dover Demon's head as having a skull shape, forming the contour of a circle on top with a more elliptical ending projecting down to include where the nose and mouth would be. Some witnesses have claimed the Dover Demon has green eyes and a seemingly smooth, chalky gray toned skin. All witnesses stated that this monster has no ears, mouth, or nose. Some have heard it make a blood-curdling noise similar to a hawk's screech mixed with a snake's hiss. The Dover Demon was also thought to become invisible or translucent in the light. By day, it hid deep in the forests of Dover, Massachusetts. So to me, apart from it, being tiny, it reminds me of the monsters that you see in Signs.
Yeah. I was going to say, it looks kind of like an alien gray mixed with Gollum from Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, but with frog feet.
Yeah.
Which I'll get into. But the discussion about it kind of being translucent, the no ears, no nose kind of conversation makes me think of those monsters that you see, those aliens in Signs.
Yeah. I remember when I was a little kid, I saw this horrifying video of this gray creature crawling into the woods. It was on Unsolved Mysteries or one of those. And they're like, is this the Dover Demon? And that image has been stuck in my brain ever since.
But what makes this cryptid so interesting, apart from it being in my home area of New England, is the short breadth of sightings. We are only talking about a 26-hour period over a span of 2 days in April of 1977. However, It was heavily documented and rattled the people who saw the monster. Enough people believed these witnesses, too, that eventually it made the radar of Lauren Coleman, the cryptozoologist and author who put this story in his book, Mysterious America. So it isn't just some teenage joke.
Mm-hmm.
So let's go over the sightings.
Let's.
All right. So the first sighting is known as the Bartlett sighting, which is annoying because he wasn't by himself really when it happened, but he was driving, so. So Dover Demon was first sighted at night by 3 17-year-old boys who were driving through the Massachusetts area when the car's headlights illuminated it. The night, as I said, was April 21st, 1977. Bill Bartlett, the driver, reported that he saw what he thought was a dog or a cat, but upon closer inspection, he realized it was a bizarre, unearthly-looking creature crawling along a stone wall on Farm Street. He continued to watch the monster, and as he did, he noticed that it had a disproportionately large watermelon-shaped head with orange glass marble-like eyes. He noted that it had long, thin arms and legs with very slender fingers, and it seemed that these digits strongly grasped the pavement and rocks, almost like a frog would. It was hairless and had rough-looking skin, described as tan to peachish and sandpaper-like. What was most unnerving, though, was the fact that it had no nose, ears, or mouth.
So this cannot be the lizard man that we talked about before.
No. And the signs alien, I want to say, had a mouth. It made a noise.
It had a mouth.
So, but it wasn't like a mouth they opened and closed. It was a funky, like, mouth. When they made that noise, it kind of hissed. It was a mouth. It was like a funky looking mouth.
I mean, it opened a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, when it gets the water out, it goes,
Exactly.
Just like that.
Just like that. So that was the first sighting on Farm Street. The second sighting, it happened like an hour later.
Okay. That's not long at all.
Yes, and it's been labeled the Baxter sighting. So
I wonder who found it.
Exactly. So it was sighted only 1 hour later by John Baxter, who was 15 years old, and his friend Pete Mitchell, age 13. I think
that's why it's called the Baxter sighting?
Yes, even though there's more than one of them again. And Pete was 13, as they were walking home. This was on Miller Hill Road, and John Baxter stated it was a bipedal creature that ended up running into a gully and then stood next to a tree. So it was around midnight when John Baxter left his girlfriend Kathy Cronin's house on the south end of Miller's Hill Road. He had started walking up the street to get to his house, but after walking about a mile, he saw something approaching him. Because the entity was quite short, he assumed it was his friend M.G. Bouchard, who lived on the street. When he called out to his friend, he received no response. He moved forward in the hope of getting a better look, but at that point, the shadowy form scurried off to the left down a shallow wooded gully, and then up the opposite back to the trees. Baxter followed this figure, and he heard its feet hit the dry leaves. He looked across the gully, and what he saw then was this creature standing about 30 feet away, with its feet seemingly molded to the top of a rock several feet from the tree. He noted that the body reminded him of a monkey's, except for the figure-8-shaped kind of head. He realized that this thing was nothing he had ever seen before, and he decided to back up the slope very carefully, and then he started walking super fast down the road to the intersection at Farm Street, which is the street where they initially saw an hour before this monster. He happened to catch a couple driving by, and they picked him up and took him home. So, in the two different stories that I got, one had his 13-year-old friend Pete with him, the other one does not.
Yeah.
Regardless, he gets in a car and is driven home. Listeners, please do not get in random cars and get driven home, okay? But he gets home safe. But what's interesting is it's just an hour later. It's in the same area because he goes down the intersection of Farm Street, so it's right there where it was seen initially. Mm-hmm. And again, he mentions the feet sticking to the rock, almost like it's like suctioning on there somehow. Unless,
like that invisibility claim, like it changed color to match the rock.
Maybe.
Which made it look like, it.
Yeah, if it's translucent or if it's picking up the color, maybe the stone around Farm Street was a little more like sandpapery, peachy colored.
Yeah.
And then out in the woods, it's a little more green because the woods are green.
Yeah.
So, well, regardless, he sees it. He doesn't really notice the color of it. He just notices that it's like standing up and it's like kind of leaning and its feet are like stuck to the rock. So, in any case, so that was just an hour later. And he had not talked to the previous person, Bartlett. So I find that to be really interesting. The final sighting has been dubbed the Brabham Trainter sighting because there were two people who saw it this time.
And they both were named.
And they both got the name.
What?
Now, what sort of ruins this sighting for me is it's the exact opposite of the Baxter sighting. It's a little known fact that Bartlett had told his close friend Will Tainter about this. Okay. So his friend already knows that this exists, or that his friend saw it just the day before.
Mm-hmm.
So since we know that Bartlett and Will are friends, Will is 18. It's the next day. And he has heard about the sighting. He's heard about the monster. So he is primed before he even, like, sets foot outside of his house.
Oh, yeah.
What do you think happens?
Oh, he's going demon hunting.
Obviously, he's going to go find it. So around midnight the next night, so about the same time.
I gotta find this guy.
Yeah, exactly. My turn. Will is driving Abby Brabham, so again, his girlfriend, she's 15, home when an encounter with a demon takes place. As they pass along Springdale Avenue, Abby spots something in the headlights on the left side of the road. What made her notice this was that the creature was crouched on all fours and facing the car. Its body was thin and monkey-like, but its head was large and oblong, with no nose, ears, or mouth. Abby also noticed that the creature was definitely hairless, and its skin had a tan beige color. She stated that the area around its eyes was light in color, and its eyes glowed green. So, yeah. That's the only difference. Now, Abby had not heard about this monster. Okay. Obviously, Will had. And so even after she hears about Bartlett's sighting and he sees it with orange eyes, she still insists that the eyes are glowing green.
Yeah.
She does not change her story. So that, to me, adds a little validity. She's sticking to her guns. Okay. But she sees it. So at the same time, Will Tainter is driving. He only saw the creature for like a moment because obviously he's driving.
Yeah.
But he had the impression it had a large head and a tan body. He had no idea what it was, but he knew it couldn't be a dog. Because she was rightfully freaked out, Abby begged Tainter to get out of there really quickly because something was scary. Now, Tainter claims that he had forgotten about his friend's sighting until that moment. Please.
Yeah.
Okay, you went out for a drive. But since his view had been so brief, he wanted to make sure that Abby had actually seen it. And so what he does is he wants to kind of debunk his friend's story.
Yeah.
So he actually deliberately starts asking questions that are misleading about the creature to Abby to see if he can, like, get her to change her story.
Yeah.
But she did not. So, again, he wants to check her stories to Bartlett's. Abby does not change her story at all. That freaked Tainter out, of course, because the stories match so well, apart from the eye color. She even said that the height was about a goat's height, which would put it at the right height. So he's just like, all right, so this is like legit. Now, to complete this sighting, the teenagers all drew sketches of the creatures they saw individually.
I love these sketches, by the way.
Yeah. And all the sketches look incredibly similar.
Yeah.
Now, one has them standing upright, but the ones they're creeping, whatever. But Bartlett actually wrote underneath his sketch, I, Bill Bartlett, swear on a stack of Bibles that I saw this creature. And just to add to the validity of these sightings a little bit, according to a local newspaper report, the location of the sightings, plot on a map, draw a straight line over 2 miles. So in a span of 26 hours, it hadn't really gone that far, and it's all plausible. But yeah, straight line. Now, as I mentioned previously, these sightings did in fact get noticed by Lauren Coleman, and other well-known groups did come to investigate because it was, 3 different sightings over 1 day and 2 hours. The sightings were not made public until the first half of May. So again, it was a couple weeks later. At that time, a local investigator of unexplained phenomenon noticed similarities to creatures in the Kelly Hopkinsville encounter of 1955. I have a crankiness about that. While there is a comparison, like a similarity in like the look of these monsters / aliens, the Kelly Hopkinsville encounter from 20 years prior was in a completely different state, Kentucky.
Interesting.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's not possible, but it's pretty far away.
Yeah.
So while no witness reported seeing a UFO, the sightings were also investigated by the Mutual UFO Network, so MUFON came out, and other associated groups, and they were given the descriptions of the creature. So the Dover Demon has made it into, paperwork, if you will, but a lot of them just kind of believe that it was kids.
You know what this thing looks like?
Go ahead.
Salad fingers. Can you just picture that guy saying he likes rusty spoons?
I can. Now you just ruined it. No.
We need to end this right now.
We're done. If anybody gets the salad fingers reference, you're cool. All right. So then I tried looking up an explanation of this because, depending on what you're reading and who you're reading, they may or may not believe it or not believe it.
Yeah.
So not all the people ended up believing that what was being seen was actually an alien creature or some kind of cryptid.
Mm-hmm.
It has been suggested that the creature may have been a foal or a moose calf.
Yeah.
So that'd be like the right-ish height.
Are moose this far east, though? I thought they were more like a northwestern thing.
Well, this is in Massachusetts.
Yeah, I'm saying, like, they're northwest, I thought. I didn't know if they were northeast.
Yes, moose can be found in Massachusetts.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
And they had the funky face, so I could see like that kind of oblong face.
They definitely have the face.
And you're not talking like, big antlers when they come out of their mamas.
But the feet.
Exactly. How would it crawl along
and stand on
wall?
2 legs?
Yeah. Well, it could be like rearing up. I could give it the 2-leg thing. I could, if it wasn't that they said like it was holding on to that rock, like a frog's feet.
Yeah.
And how is it going to crawl along, this?
Well, and the big thing I have with all of these debunkers is like, I know what a moose looks like.
Mm-hmm.
This was not a moose. Like, there's this one episode of another podcast, Uncanny USA,
mm-hmm.
where a Sasquatch is outside someone's window, and it's like, well, it could have been, this, that, a bear,
yeah.
and it's like, there's a huge difference between a bear face and a Bigfoot face.
And you're telling me someone in Alaska, because I don't know what episode you're talking about, you're telling me someone in Alaska, like, doesn't know what a bear looks like?
Yeah,
Please.
someone who lives in the woods every day,
Please, sweetie. Yeah. Yeah, I know. So I think when you're trying to put it in the context, I can see them trying to push for it.
It's a stretch, but you can see, yeah.
Yes, but no, right?
My
response, yes, but no.
And, like, even someone like us who have never seen a moose in real life, pretty sure we'd know a moose calf when we saw one.
Yeah, we've seen a horse.
Yeah.
We've seen cows.
Yeah.
Very different walking than creeping. And they said, like, it wasn't a dog.
Yeah, so people who live in Massachusetts should probably be able to figure out.
And we've all seen deer. We've all seen fawns,
Yeah.
And they walk very similarly.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, skeptic Joe Nickel believes the creature was likely a snowy owl. This one drives me nuts, by the way.
Everything's an owl.
I know.
It's always an owl.
I know. Based on size and plumage, which would have reflected in the yellow headlights of older cars as a peach color described by Bartlett. In addition, the long spindly arms and fingers of the supposed creature could be the partially opened wings and the splayed feathers of the wingtips of a snowy owl.
Because wings totally look like skinny arms.
Thank you. I don't believe it because they said like it was rough skin. They could see the skin. That was the one thing they all agreed on was this rough, like hairless creature.
Unless someone defeathered an owl and threw it out in the woods.
But it would still be tiny then. It wouldn't be the size of a goat. Yeah, so I don't know. Feathers have a definitive look to them. Fur has a definitive look.
Again,
hairlessness.
Everyone knows what an owl looks like.
So
there's no mistaking it.
It's like, so sorry, Joe Nickel, but you're wrong.
Now, maybe hearing an owl, like if you heard a woman screaming in the middle of the forest, like you might think it's a woman dying, but it's actually a screech owl because you've never heard a screech owl before.
Yeah, I would allow that, but yeah, no.
Yeah.
The area police told the Associated Press that the creature reported by the teenagers was probably nothing more than a school vacation hoax.
That's more believable.
Apart from the fact that some random chick's like, I saw a monster, but okay, whatever, we'll allow that. But skeptic Ben Radford has suggested the sightings may have been influenced by the pop culture of the time, as 1977 was a year for big-headed client-type creatures. So, generally, the teenagers were not believed that this was a thing. Now, you know me. If I can make a connection to Native Americans or similar lore to add validity for thousands of years, I will.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's good and bad news for the Dover demon believers out there. There is a direct connection to the Ojibwe and the Cree, which are 2 tribes of the Algonquin people.
Uh-huh.
Now, I say there's a direct connection, but it's not perfect, okay?
Mm-hmm.
They believe in something similar, and there are 2 different versions of this. There's the Managishi in Cree folklore, which is very similar to the Meme-Gwesi of the Ojibwe. So I'm going to discuss the Meme-Gwesi.
Okay.
Because they're very similar. They are described as semi-humanoid, and some versions say they have the sexdactylus, so 6-fingered human-ish kind of hands, but not all say that. With very thin and lanky arms and legs and big heads, minus a nose. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
According to one Cree schema of the mythology, there are 2 humanoid races, One being us, human species, and the other being the little people, which to them would be the Menegishi, or for the other version, the Ojibwe, the Memegwesi. These people are said to live between rocks and in the rapids. One of their biggest delights as tricksters is to crawl out of the rocks and capsize the canoes of people canoeing through the rapids, spinning them to their deaths. So, here's the thing. These were not in water.
Yeah. But they did have webbed feet.
That's
like
true.
They
Yes.
belong in the water.
Now, however, according to nativelanguages.org, I don't think we can label the creature that was seen as a Memegwesi, because the Memegwesi are small riverbank dwelling water spirits. They're generally benign creatures. Now, they sometimes can blow canoes astray or steal things when they are not shown proper respect. In some Ojibwe traditions, Memegwesi can be seen by children and medicine people. In others, they can appear to anyone and may help humans who give them tobacco and other gifts. But most often, the Memegwesi are described as being child-sized and hairy, with a large head and a strange voice that sounds like the whine of a dragonfly. The Cree and Innu describe them as having narrow faces, and some Menominee storytellers have said that they have no noses. Some people believe that their name comes from the Ojibwe word for hairy, which is Memi, since Memegwesi are usually described as having hairy faces and bodies. So, considering all the teenagers agreed that this thing had rough skin without any hair, I am hard-pressed to label it something Native American.
Yeah.
So, like I said, it's good and bad news for demon lovers of Massachusetts. Is there a connection? Maybe.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like loosely there. I find it interesting that 3 different sets of people saw this thing. I'm sad to see that it hasn't been seen again.
Yeah, I know.
So what are your thoughts?
I don't buy it at all. I think it's cool. I think it's really cool, but I don't know. I just think it's a story. I don't buy this one.
Like the squonk?
That one's just hilarious.
Or the Alba Twitch?
Yeah, the Alba Twitch, like, when was the last time anyone saw that thing?
I don't know. But it's a cool story.
Yeah.
So there you go, everybody. The Dover Demon of Massachusetts.
Wait, what do you think?
What do I think? I think it's a cool story.
Yeah, it is a cool story. If it's real, considering like 2 separate people saw it within like an hour of each other and all that, I would probably guess it's an alien gray.
Okay.
It's the same size, proportionately, that big head, skinny body and all that. Like,
no nose, no ears.
Right. It fits all that. The webbed feet is weird. That doesn't make sense. But everything else tells me alien gray. So that's, if I were to say this is real, that's what I would think. But yeah, I don't know. This one doesn't do it for me.
Well, that's midweek mini, so enjoy.
I like it.
Yeah, it's kind of a cool story. I mean,
Yeah.
You believe in the Jersey Devil, but you don't believe in this.
I never said I believed in the Jersey Devil. I just thought it was cool. Well, and the fact that Bonaparte's brother, Napoleon's brother Joseph, has seen it.
Well,
and
Bill
told all his
Bartlett
friends
saw
about
this
it.
One. I know.
It does bother me that there's like, there are all these sightings, going back to the Jersey Devil, people saying like, he told his friends about it that night, like in his sitting hall. Where's the source for that? Yeah. Like, it's all over the place. Like, it's common knowledge that he saw this thing, but like, there's no diary or entry from him or his friends or anything. Like, so
someone just decided that he saw it.
Yeah, right.
Didn't actually see it. All right. So anyway, thank everyone for listening. Please get on our Facebook page and get in for the giveaway. We are drawing a name on the 30th, and today is the 26th.
Hopefully at 7 p.m. Gonna do it live from the Well House.
Yeah, we do say, hopefully, we have lives with children. But
7
30th.
p.m. is what we're looking at. Yeah, the 30th at 7.
And I want to say happy 14th wedding anniversary to my hubby right
Happy anniversary.
Here. Love you very much. Today is our anniversary. And to all of you, thank you for listening to Well House Exorcism. Find us on Instagram as Well House Exorcism, all one word. On Twitter, X as wellhouse_exorc. or on Facebook under Games Overboard because we're a subsidiary. Feel free to hop onto our website as well, which is gamesoverboard.com. Please email us or Facebook us. We love hearing from you.
Especially about this one. I want to know what you think about the Dover Demon.
Yeah, I liked Chris had some thoughts about Lizzie Borden, which is fun to see.
Yeah.
I'm
loving the interaction between all of us. Like, keep it up, everyone. Keep messaging us. Yeah. Keep posting on our social media. I'm loving all of this.
Nurse Jackie sent me voice recordings of her thoughts, and I was listening to them as I walked through Walmart shopping with the kids because she's like, I have theories.
Oh, that was Nurse Jackie.
That was Nurse Jackie, yeah. Oh, I didn't share.
I wasn't sure who that was.
I kept my phone away. I said Jackie, but you weren't listening.
Yeah.
He never listens to me.
What?
Headphones on. I'm in your head.
Sorry, I can't hear you. I have headphones on.
Oh,
but yeah, like
Stephen
I'm gonna be
Smith
playing.
Had some really good comments too.
I'm hoping to be playing Diablo 4 with one of our listeners later. I installed it. I downloaded it.
There you go, Carrie.
So
yeah, I'm loving all the. We are not lying. Please message us. We like to talk to you, and we will put our time for it.
Mm-hmm.
And Tim messaged us asking how we're doing, and he wants to come visit.
Nice.
So yeah,
Tim.
I know.
The winner of our first giveaway, and a first person to message us too.
Oh, I love you, Tim. Again, we do want to hear from you, but as always,
think spooky thoughts.